Okay, we're back. Independent Producers Organization Live Showcase. Richard Carpenter, Bruce Broussard, Mark Callahan, you go ahead.
Okay, fine. Sounds great. We're on the IPO. And as you know, as Richard, we've always said here, the fact of the matter is we're a couple of producers here.
Right.
I'm a producer of the Oregon Voters Digest, and it just so happened that Mark is going to be doing a part of that. He's looking forward, if you will, to doing a show on Oregon Voters Digest, maybe once a month. If things work out right, that's
See what happens here.
That's what we're scheduled for to a certain degree. Yeah. I think he would be sort of an asset to this. He happened to run for office. For Congress, but he's run for office on several different occasions, so he's pretty well familiar with the terrain, and I think it's a very, very important race that's going to be coming up, for that matter, whether he runs or not. We're trying to encourage him to do so, but at least the people within that particular district will have an opportunity to see who he is and understand what the issues are, because he ran last time around, and that's going to be very important. So an incumbent Schrader may run again, but if he does, I know Mark. Mark, the fact is, he's going to continue to track that arena because he's very sensitive and concerns about the people within that particular district.
Yep.
And so that's going to be a good thing. And plus the fact, from a national perspective, the Voters Digest will have someone that could maybe talk to the presidential election, because that's going to be a huge election. And hopefully Mark will have some of those discussions with some of the local politicians and whatever he researched on and aspect of it. So I'm really looking forward to him being a part of the Oregon Voters Digest as a host on that arena. Okay, that's one deal. Sounds good. And then Richard, at some point in time, hopefully I'm going to have him on the Oregon Voters Digest, right, like he has me on IPO. But again, there are issues that, as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be of a major concern. So we're not going to we're going to need all the time we can to reach out to you, the public out there, to get you involved, because it's going to be a very, very, very important race.
Say the time on Sunday.
The time
again.
On Sundays, it's 4 o'clock live.
Okay.
On Channel 11. 4 o'clock live.
Good.
On Channel 11.
Right.
Every Sunday.
Okay.
So anyway, so Rich and I are going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about local stuff. And he's done some beautiful job on the IPO, on the show that we're on right now. But he's done some beautiful jobs, and so we're going to welcome him, and hopefully either he may do a show on his own, but he and I may have a discussion to bring a little bit of the IPO and some of the discussion with Mark here. In fact, Mark might even come on.
Yeah, see what happens.
We might just do a whole deal where the three of us now combining 3 shows. IPO over there, and then you got Oregon Voters Digest, Mark, and then you got Bruce Broussard on the other end. And then one of the other things I plan to do, I'm not going to be doing just the 4 shows anymore. I'm going to have 2 other hosts if possible. Get a couple of other people that's going to do something that's relevant, if you will, to the viewership aspect of it. And I'm going to be focusing, as you see, I've got my garb on. I'm still reaching out to vets. I'm going to be doing more of reaching out to veterans, and making sure they get their benefits. And in doing so, there are services within the VA organization. The government VA aspect there is there, and we'll go through that and educate the public as to what those services are, and educate the vets as to how they can access those services. And that's where my focus is going to be. And again, that's going to be kind of a more focus. I spent my time in Vietnam and whatever, but as you know, the Korean vets are there's small numbers now. The Vietnam vets are the ones now that are really aged up. So I'm going to really be trying to get together with them and getting them to the VA and getting their services and whatever, to getting in that age factor, 65 or better and the like. And they've got family. And if they got wives and whatever and loved ones during that particular time, a lot of times they don't have access to who they are in terms of their benefits of their loved ones. And so my point is that I want to make sure I get that information out to the family members of that vet. And because sure, they may have some benefits, but it saddens me when I've seen for the time that I've been involved in this process, seeing at the VA, because I also use some of the services now myself, but when you're seeing a vet being rolled into the facility in a wheelchair by their loved one or by their caretaker and whatever, and it's almost short, I mean, they may have heart problems or they may have this, that, and the other, and then about another month or 2 or a year, they're gone. And what I want to do is that I want to get them there before they get to that particular point.
Yeah.
And I want them to be able to identify, and I want the VA to know who their caretaker is personally. So that person will jump on it and actually start them and get them into those services that gives them a little bit more time on earth. And as the public said, the public is constantly saying that, hey, thanks for serving to the vets, and we want to, and that's kind of a way of saying thank you, public, for recognizing these vets, these brave men that have worked hard and fought for this country that we're living in today, that a lot of times we take for granted. We don't have a draft anymore, but you know, the Vietnam War was kind of like the last of the Mohegans. And now we've got just a voluntary kind of a deal. And then we got the young folks. We got those young people who have served in Afghanistan, and that particular war aspect of it, that's another issue, because a lot of those folks didn't go to boot camp like I did. And the bottom line is that they've got more mental illness problems than when I was coming up. And Richard's also, as a vet also too. So that's going to be another phase, but right now I'm going to be focusing on the Vietnam era vets and making sure that they understand what that's all about.
You know, I got an eye appointment up there next Monday.
Good.
They take very good care of you.
Yes.
They take very good care of me.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And I'm in the same boat, and sometimes that makes a lot of sense, because if you can relate, if you can show that you actually were actually participating in the organizations, then all those naysayers. See, and a lot of times the naysayers, vets just don't want to talk. You got me?
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why I'm in. So when they see me, I mean, we just getting right down to the business. If I see that right now, at least we don't have as many vets out there on the street in the homeless environment. I mean, they've got homes. I mean, they've got apartment living now aspect of it. They got services that will find them home, and at the same time, at that age factor aspect of it, they can actually get reimbursed. Those services are there for them, but unless they know what the services are, you got me? A lot of times in the military, you know, they don't volunteer anything in many ways. You got me? So you need to know which way to go. So that's a way of doing that. And then the other thing is that there are services outside of the organization, out of the VA aspect of it, because now, as a result of President Trump, we now can actually go outside of the out of the VA umbrella and actually visit doctors, our own doctors, if we want to, and they basically get reimbursed by the government. Whereas before, it was just that it was just under one roof, and that's why that line was so long.
Yeah.
You got me? But now that's not the case. They can actually get second opinions and things like that. It's all about long life and giving them good life aspect of it. And I mean everything. Everything is there. I just happen to have one of the latest brochures and binder here.
Hold it up.
Yeah, here it is right here. It says Healthcare Benefits Overview. And it tells you from point A to Z about how do you get into the system, how do you get to use the system, and all the services that are available, and gives phone numbers right off the bat. And they hand out little trinkets like this business about a crisis and whatever. A lot of times they relate to mental illness, but that's basically for that young vets in the Afghan war, that particular aspect of it, and also the Vietnam, because a lot of guys, because of whatever it is, there's some problems out there for mental illness. A lot of the guys they're alcoholics. You got me, and they've got their own AA in the VA. We have our own AA. So consequently, when they get in their AA, they got other vets sitting at the table. So they tell stories and this, that, and the other, and it's a better way of better care. And they've got this crisis line that all the person has to do is call this line, and there's someone at the other end of the line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this other line. And besides talking about services, if you're not registered for the service, you can get this by just asking the person on the other end of the phone here about where do I go to get those services. And if they got a problem, okay, what if I got a problem, I don't like this, or I'm in line, this, that, and the other, they can call in and share that kind of a deal. And that, just for the benefit of everybody, you can call this line, even though it says Veterans Crisis Line, that is the one-shot line. That's one line you can call for anything. But especially if you get a heart attack, or if someone sees a veteran outside or whatever, they can just call this number, 1-800-273-8255. Again, 273-8255. There will be someone that will pick up that phone 24/7 and answer your calls. Okay. Then if you press 1, then it's either maybe a heart attack or something really seriously is with you, and then boom, an ambulance will not only pick you up, somebody will pick you up aspect of it. They will either take you to a VA, or in this particular case, they can take you to any private hospital or whatever, and Uncle Sam will pick up the tab. And then, and we need to know that, and the public needs to know that, and so consequently, that's what that's all about. So you got this, and then if you can also ask them for a copy of this publication. They'll send you a copy, and all you have to have is that DD-214.
Oh, yeah.
It's your DD-214. It's like your Social Security number. In fact, the Social Security number, the access, they will put together a file jacket on you, and show you how sharp this stuff is nowadays. You can go on and sign up, if you will, for your file in the system. So when you can access that file with any doctor, or even in your smartphone or whatever, or you can just go on and go right on the computer and look at your file. And you can look at your file from a historical standpoint and the like. So it's really getting to be comprehensive. It's really getting to be an asset. And so I'm going to be doing a show that I'll be continually interviewing folks as far as the services, interviewing some of the key services like benefits. What is benefits? Who are entitled to benefits? And in many ways, and in some cases, you don't have to, for the public standpoint, and those folks who have gotten maybe illness or whatever, whether it be PTSD or this, that, and the other, if you've only spent 4 years in the service, you didn't necessarily have to be a retired vet, 20 years or 25 or 30.
Yeah.
You can get those services. And in some cases, if you reach a certain plateau, as far as like 100%, you can get paid. You can get a pension on a monthly basis, and it goes all the way up to 100%. And when you get up to certain numbers, like 70% of the 100%, you can go back to college if you want to. Paid for is entirely, and also your loved one can also go.
Yeah.
And your kids, you know what I mean. So there's really a lot of good things to be said. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing on my particular show, and I've given you this number. And if you want a copy of this, you can just give that person a call, or you can call me. And I can do the same thing. And that's another reason why I'm giving you this information, because in the past I was giving my number out, and it's kind of hard trying to service everybody.
That's right.
But this is the number that you can access the same thing. But if you need to give me a call, I have no problem. Just give me a call, 503-701-0457, and I'll be more than glad to kind of just repeat that number or whatever and tell you where to go. Okay?
You could probably give that number one more time.
Yeah, 503-701-0457.
No,
That's mine. This crisis
That's
number.
all right.
Yeah, the crisis number.
Can't do it enough.
1-800-1800-273-8255. Again, it can be the vet, it can be a loved one, it could be a friend, or whatever. If you've got that person in the front of you and they're having a problem, you call that number. And in most cases, if they just give them their Social Security number, normally it's the last 4, but you give them that Social Security number, once they go and start taking care of you, and they'll find out whether or not you are legit one way or the other. So if you get in a private hospital, no problem, because if you are a vet, Uncle Sam would pick up the tab. If you're not, you have to go through the process. But as you know, in our system of government, you can walk into any hospital and they won't say no to you. It's just that they will check your background, and if you got any assets, they'll pick it up. And if you don't, you'll have to pay in the future. Now, naturally, we've got an issue here that we've been talking about this issue on the other side, about the fact that we've got folks that are not legit, if you will, are not legal. And those folks, in all due respect, show you what kind of good folks we are. We need to amend this thing or whatever. They can still get all the benefits there is. That's a problem. And I think in this next administration, we're going to be able to change that a bit, because we need to change that system, because we got too many people like homelessness that are sitting out there, and these are Americans that are out there, and they are needing some help too.
Yeah.
But they're not vets. So very few of them are there. So that's another problem. But hopefully we can talk about that on other shows and whatever. And that'll be my other hat that I wear. And my purpose is that by having other guest hosts like yourselves and Richard here and whatever, then all of a sudden you guys will be able to share that with your viewing public, and that makes it very effective. So that's the format of the show, and so we were looking forward to 2019, and we're going to be spending quite a bit of time on trying to educate and inform you about what the system is, the presidential election, your local elections, candidates, all along that line. Very, very important. We live in the state of Oregon, and you know, we've got issues here, and we need to discuss those issues. And so whether they be elected or not elected, or you want to run for office, we're going to be doing some of those things too. We're going to basically be inviting folks on, like Richard Burke, you know, Richard Burke of Western Liberty Network. I'm going to have him on. He has a thing, an ongoing program every year, and that you can go in and learn and go to that particular forum, if you will, and learn how.
2nd of February.
Yeah, 2nd of February, and learn how to run for office. In fact, I'm going to be probably talking about that on my next show a little bit more about that, given the date, time, and place aspect of it, and it's a little conservative, somewhat a little bit more conservative, but anybody and everybody's right.
Yeah.
And some folks, in some cases, the last time I participated with it, he gave me some opportunities, some free scholarships. And it gave some scholarships to some folks who were interested in running for office, and they picked up the tab for the food.
Oh, cool.
And that was a cool deal. So I will be announcing that this next time around also. Okay, good. So with that gives us an introduction piece. So now what we'll do is that we'll continue from our last show that we had. We talked a little bit about that, and then maybe Mark can give a little briefing introduction of what some of the things you might do if in fact you participate in the Voters Digest piece, and you know, just a little interviewing candidates and talking about issues and.
We'll see what happens. I think that's going to be kind of a fast 2 years.
Yes. Okay.
I know there's some candidates that have already declared.
Oh, is that right?
And already filed for 2020.
Okay.
And so basically, you look at the cycle. I mean, I know when I filed, not for this upcoming, but I mean last time I ran. I filed I declared my candidacy in July of 2000. Was it July 2015? And then I ran, or no, July 2017.
Right.
And then I ran. I officially filed, I guess, by September 2017, and then the primaries in May of the election year 2018. I won the primary 3-1 over my nearest competitor.
Okay.
I got about 3 times the votes as my nearest competitor.
Okay.
So then I moved on past the May primary to the general election against Kurt Schrader.
What district was that?
That was Oregon's 5th congressional district, which covers about 7 counties: Marion, Polk, Lincoln, Tillamook, Clackamas County, a little bit of Multnomah on the south, and a little bit of Benton on the north. And so went into the general election feeling really good. I'd been all over, been doing candidate forums during the summer of 2018, and unfortunately we didn't get it. I lost by about 47,000 votes. I still actually did pretty good though.
Yes.
I got about 150,000 votes, just shy of 150,000 votes. Schrader got about 197,000. So, but I mean, I think what the key was there is to run a good race. I did it the best I could, and even at the end, after I lost, I actually called up Schrader, and I talked to him man to man on the phone, one-on-one. I said, you know, I mean, this is where I stand on the issues, and this is where you stand on the issues, and I know there's a contrast there, and the voters obviously voted for him, you know, but the point is, I think we both did our best.
Was he an incumbent?
What's that? Yeah, Schrader's an incumbent. Yeah, Kurt Schrader's an incumbent.
That
So.
never helps.
Yeah, but I mean, it's...
But still he ran, and he answered the phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I called, and I called, he actually has about 3 or 4 numbers on his website.
Okay.
And so I called all 3 or 4 numbers, and I said, this is Mark Callahan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk to Schrader one-on-one. I don't want to talk through a staff member. I actually want to talk to him on the phone. You know? He is my representative.
Right.
So, I mean, he called me back, and we talked for a little bit, you know. But, I mean, I know what I need, where if I were to run again in the future, I'm not declaring anything.
Right.
You know? I got to pass it by the wife and some other folks first. But, I mean, if I were to run in the future, I know where I would need to concentrate, because I got really close in, say, Benton County. I got really close in Tillamook County, and I got really close in Polk County. Clackamas County, I lost for about 30,000, so I definitely need to focus there. Which, I mean, I think that I was actually I was actually elected to be the vice chairman of the Clackamas County Republican Party. So I can kind of work that from the inside in terms of making the Clackamas County Republican Party stronger.
Okay.
But the point is, I know where me or somebody else that runs next time needs to focus on, and I can give them that knowledge if they need it.
Right.
And I think one of the most important things, though, is that is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because when someone says they're going to support a candidate prior to the primary, and it's actually on tape and on video and on audio, them actually saying yes, they will support the candidate. But then they go back on their word. After the primary and basically be a sore loser. Like the second place opponent was in the race for the primary. When I ran against, there was three people in the primary. It was me, another guy, and another guy. The second place person was Joey Nations, and the third place guy was Rob Reynolds. Well, when we say that we're going to support the opponent or support the winner of the primary, and then they don't do it, then they basically are lying.
Yes.
And there's too much lying in our society now, and all I know is I didn't get any.
Did you get the support from these guys?
I didn't.
Even though they made the statement?
Well, I mean, the third place guy, Rob Reynolds, I got his support.
What about Nation? Nation?
No, he lied.
I noticed him on Facebook.
He was a sore loser, and he lied, and I didn't get any support from him.
Wow, Joey, you got to check that Joey out. You got to bring him. In fact, bring him on the show. Let's find out what the deal is.
Well, I mean, I'd lay into him if I brought him on the show. But the point is, he lied, and he's actually on video lying, saying that he's going to support the winner, but he didn't actually do it. He spent the summer bashing me. And same thing happened a couple years ago with when I was in the U.S. Senate primary. Sam Carpenter, Faye Stewart, and I were at a candidate forum in Redmond, Oregon, and last question of the night came up. And it said, "Will you support the winner?" Well, we all said yes. And Sam even took it further, and he said, "Well, I'll not only support the winner, I'll go out and campaign for the winner."
Really?
But the thing is, primary came and went. I beat Sam by about 3.5, 4 points. He spent the rest of the summer bashing me, and so Sam also is a liar. Sam Carpenter is also a liar, and unfortunately, Joey Nations basically kind of latched on to Sam in order to get information on me during this last primary.
Oh, wow.
And
we can straighten that up.
So he's corrupt. They're both corrupt, and they're both liars, and both sore losers.
Oh, wow.
And the unfortunate thing is that Sam is actually running for the Oregon Republican Party chair. And so I don't know how he's going to get that when he's very divisive, and he lies. And he breaks down other candidates, and he broke down Newt when Newt was running for governor this last time.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, you got a job to do.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why
What I can do, as I said, I'm the vice chairman of the Clackamas County Republican Party, and I'm going to do what I can in Clackamas County and at the state level in terms of being a delegate to the state central committee. So.
Well, we really appreciate the fact that you're considering coming on the Voters Digest because the Voters Digest, from a historical standpoint, it goes back years, okay? And it's about Oregon. You got me? This is not a Northeast Portland deal. This is not a city of Portland deal. This is not a Multnomah County deal. It's Oregon politics. I just opted to spend quite a bit of time in this area because this is where the votes are. This is where the majority of the votes are. This is where the majority issues, major issues that we have in this state. And so it's really a pleasure that you're going to be a part of that process, which sort of expands it, got me out, if you will, and talk about the issue of this state. And
I know God wants me to stay in the game.
I know that.
I know He does.
Yes,
but
He does.
I just need to figure out what role I need to play.
So. Well, you can definitely do the communication bit, and I know I can. And I'm not speaking just for Richard, but we enjoyed him. We enjoy him over here, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm getting Richard involved, and he gets me involved. And we're paying back one another on both ends. And I just might make mention, since you made mention about your run this last time around, I too have been running around the state and running for office. You know, I'd been a Republican for years, And I ran on a number of occasions. And this last time around, I ran for county district number 2. It's the largest county in Multnomah County, district number 2.
Yeah.
There were 4 candidates, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
4 candidates, and I spent, because of my awareness about the issues and who the voters are and who are the major contributors in this area, like the unions and things of that nature, because it's a very liberal area. Even though I was a conservative, it was about the people.
Yeah.
And I ran the race, and I finished, actually finished at tight 2. 2 of us ran about the same deal. But what's interesting about the deal, you know, I basically identified my resume, my background, and this, that, and the other, and I knew I outbeat anybody and everybody about my background and whatever. But however, the media was a different ball game, and the machine.
Yeah.
And I knew that the Democratic Party had their own problems. They had major problems.
Oh yeah.
There were 3 other Democrats running, and one of which was an immigrant. And in all due respect, had no background whatsoever
Yeah.
about what the district was all about. And surely enough, she's from India, and she's from India, but had no ideas of what the issues in district number 2. But her sister, her younger sister, happens to be a congressperson up in Seattle. Yeah, she's a congressperson in Seattle.
Yeah.
And so consequently, the union, the union represented her sister in Seattle, and they basically had influence on the unions over here, their sister union here.
Yeah,
in
funny how
Portland.
that works. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all those folks that I knew in the union that I helped get jobs and things of that nature, would all of a sudden, they all went on the other side. But I was given the opportunity to meet with the union folks, the union clan,
Yeah.
and I spoke to them up front.
Yeah.
And surely enough, it was very political, peace aspect of it. But I met with them.
Yeah.
And I told them basically how I felt about this situation, and they still voted for her. It was a political piece aspect of it. And there were 2 other, there were 2 other political persons, Democrats. One happened to be a black woman, very qualified. She had good background whatsoever. More specifically, she identified with the African American community. So she had that base, and she finished, I think she finished last, well, she finished 4th, so to speak. I think she had about 3,000 votes aspect of it. And then there was Maria Garcia, which I thought was interesting because she happens to be a Mexican American, and she's a small business person.
Yep.
And it was good to have her on the table because that was one of the major issues. And I've had her on my show to talk about that culture. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can get her to play a role with the Voters Digest and have that base as one of the hosts, so that people can understand what the issues are. She's conservative, in many ways she's conservative, but she can bring that issue to the table, and my purpose there is to get Mexican Americans at the table to deal with the issue of a sanctuary state. As you know, we went through that piece, and I think that's a very important piece, and I know you.
We haven't talked about that.
But now, if I can get her involved, hopefully she can bring her other folks and educate the public about what's the rationale, what does that mean, you got me? And maybe she can they can get involved and play a role in solving that problem that we're going to be having here that we need to solve, because I'm worried about the fact that we're basically giving an address and announcing to the world, the rest of the country, if you're homeless, if you're illegal, and this, that, and the other, come to Oregon. And then here we go again. In fact, it's a fact now. There are more people. I've stopped and talked to those folks. That was part of my campaign anyway. I stop and talk with them now, and truly enough, they're from other parts of the states. They tell me that they get vouchers from other parts of the state to come to Portland, Oregon, and the state of Oregon, because the pot is big here. They passed marijuana laws, and they figure they can get free pot, which these guys were saying, yeah, we can get free pot. It's legal here. I can smoke it anywhere I want to. And boy, I tell you, the subsidization is huge here. I can get a meal anytime I want to. I can get free clothes on weekends. I mean, and I can have a tent. They'll give me a tent, and I can go downtown and pitch the tent downtown, and I won't get arrested. They'll just move me to another area, another site. So we got some problems that we have to deal with. So hopefully Maria will be a part of that deal. But anyway, but on the other side of the coin, the person who's elected District Number 2, it's their job, because I campaign well as far as I'm concerned. But the fact of the matter is, she wasn't able to transition Loretta Smith, who ran for city council, who didn't win. But the bottom line is that Loretta Smith, she had issues because she did not support the campaign finance reform aspect of it, and Sheila did, and no, didn't. She didn't support it either. But the media didn't say anything about that in the campaign.
Yeah, it's funny what they
You
choose
see what I'm
to cover
saying? They
selectively, basically.
You understand? I mean,
yeah.
they didn't want to cover that piece.
Yeah.
That should have been blasted on the line. And all I wanted was a runoff, whether it be me or the other two. As far as I'm concerned, fine. But she needed the background. She needed the training. And so since now there was no runoff, she got a majority, and now she's there, and it's kind of interesting. Now she's a commissioner. It's her job. But now when you look at her staff, it doesn't look like the district. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she's on the job training, and we don't need OJT type individuals in those kinds of positions.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you had other qualified folks. So I'm just saying, there it is. So I'm wanting to spend my time on the vet piece, but look, they're trying to force me back to deal with that issue.
Oh, see, it happens, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
happens
whatever
all
you
the
do,
time,
yeah.
just like you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, my plan is not to run.
Yeah.
My plan is to basically make sure that I get the information out, and this is more important to me about the vets.
Sometimes you can do some more stuff behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
behind the scenes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If I can get other folks to do these other slots,
Yeah.
and they can
Less
do the piece.
restrictions. I know when I was a candidate, I was very restricted on
Yes.
what I could say, what I
Yes,
could do, where I
yes,
could go, stuff like
exactly.
that. Kind of being handled, I guess,
Yes,
as a candidate.
yes.
But now I'm not a candidate.
That's right,
And,
that's right,
I mean,
that's
I
right.
can do more stuff behind the scenes.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Well, now I'm going to be right up front with you, and I've done it myself. I mean, you can still do a show
Yeah.
and still get your issues out on the
Yeah,
table. You got my point?
Yeah.
And indirectly, you can still be running,
Yeah.
if you understand what I mean. I'm
Just
ready.
not officially. Yeah,
Yeah, that's just not officially. That's what I was doing, right, Rich?
Right.
Okay, in fact, Rich was running. He was running more than me for the same district. We was talking about it, right?
I was supporting it. That's all I know.
But we were talking about it, right?
Right.
Talking about the issues aspect of it. So anyway, you get an idea of what we're going to be doing, what I plan to do, and what Mark may be doing, and what Richard may be doing. And I think this is quite a team. This is going to be quite a team, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys, and especially for this country and for this state, and for the vets, for sure, big time, here for this next 2 years. It's going to be a tough year, a tough 2 years. We got a presidential election, and like I said before, and all these other things, and naturally, I don't have to kill myself to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You understand what I mean? So with that, that's that part of the deal. And so we've got a little bit more time here. We got about another 26 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe we can just spend a little bit more time talking about some of the things that are impacting us now in February. And I think we were making predictions on the last show with the IPO about this cut. What's it? This labor force situation with the wall.
Okay.
I think that's going to be.
no.
I think.
We didn't even get to that.
Yeah, we didn't get through that, and then we made some predictions from the standpoint that that's not going to last too long more. I think that because there's a deadline for the present group that the government will pay their wages up to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, and I don't think that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm sure
See what happens, yeah.
that's going to be solved by that particular time, and then we're going to get that wall's going to be resolved routine.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes, hopefully.
I think Trump avoided trying to do the heavy thing. The what do you call it? He's trying to do make it so it has to happen.
Right.
What do they call that? It isn't military rule. It's some other rule for it.
National emergency.
Right.
National
Emergency,
emergency,
right. That's going to happen one way or the other.
And I think he's avoiding it, but I know he'll do it if he has
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And
And with Pelosi sitting there, I
Yeah.
mean, she's making adjustments, trying to see
He's a
how
jerk.
can these Democrats actually organize themselves enough to get a viable candidate to run against Trump.
We do have Phil Kahanas.
Yeah. In fact, Elizabeth Warren is the first one out of the
Oh, that's what I
out
was
of the
talking
gate.
about, Phil Kahanas,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah.
She came,
Well, no,
she came out of something.
Yeah, but guess what? You can't do that anymore because she's already admitted the fact she is not a Native American.
But at one time she said she was.
Well, I know, but I'm saying.
So that
but
makes her a liar,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. But now she's saying, no, I've told the truth.
Yeah.
I told the truth.
Well,
She
what
said
is she? What is the truth then?
she's let me see, what is she? She's
The
Protestant.
1,024th
Yeah,
Native
something-
American or something
yeah.
like
You
that.
know
So-
this airs in a month, so you might want to make some predictions.
Yeah, some predictions, and I think that in fact that might be one of the problems we're having here within our show here. Our producers looking at the possibility of being a campaign manager. Have you heard about that?
Okay.
Yeah, we're having some problems here. I mean, and so I don't know what he's going to do with that situation. See, he's already made the commitment
Okay.
to us,
Right.
to
Right.
us, and then he's going to have to read the contract. We're going to have to get him to sign that contract about being here with us. But anyway, we'll honor whatever he says. It sounds good, and I really appreciate he brought that. See how he brought that issue up, right? You got me?
Right.
He brought
Right.
that issue up. But anyway, the fact of the matter is she's out of the deal, and we're going to be getting more folks by this time. I think who was it? Biden's going to will have made a decision. I think he's going to run. He's going to have to stay in the race.
That guy's just
to
a laugh
keep,
reel.
but he had to stay in the race to keep the issues going to run against Trump until they find a viable candidate. They're not going to find a viable candidate until the last minute. Ordinarily,
Yeah.
you would think that they'd go on and get this thing resolved right off the bat. But Pelosi's going to have a lot of problems trying to get the entire Democratic Party to support one person and not run maybe 30 people running for president and having a forum.
Well, a lot of them are just crazy.
But my point is, I don't think they can afford to have that kind of a format.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
there right now, I've heard last I count, I heard there was like 30 of them that were interested in
Yes,
running, that
yes.
were forming an exploratory
Yes,
committee.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
yes,
But
yes.
I mean, it's just going to be hilarious when they rip each other to shreds.
Yes.
You know?
Well, we got
Bernie and
we got
Well,
one.
we only had
we got
17 last time.
Yeah, but what about our local? We got a local senator that's running. For
Oh
office.
yeah, the
who-
delusional Merkley.
Merkley is running.
Yeah.
He's trying to keep his
It's
Senate
delu-
seat.
yeah,
He's trying to keep his Senate seat at the same
It's
time.
like delusions of grandeur. Oh,
Yep,
he's going to run
yep,
for president.
yep,
yeah,
yep,
right.
yep, yep, yep.
Okay,
But,
whatever.
But I think, in all due respect, I think he's going to run for a while. He's going to spend some time there, but he's got to make sure he dot those I's and cross those T's.
If he does run,
if he wants to run for the Senate.
yeah,
So
if he does
may-
run and he has to give up his Senate seat, I'd be interested to find out who's going to run in his place for the Senate.
But right now he's telling everybody, no, I'm running for president, but the ink's not dry yet on that dotted I and cross the T's, right?
yeah.
Got me?
That's
But
what
if
I
he
say,
crossed
delusional.
if he crossed the T's and he's still able to run for president and still run for the Senate, he'll do that, and then he can use that platform to run
Okay.
for the Senate.
Yeah.
See,
Well, Merkley's delusional.
that's what he wants to do. He'd like to run for president and guarantee that he still becomes Senate. 'Cause he's not gonna. He doesn't have the. He doesn't have the.
yeah, he doesn't have
He
that.
doesn't have that. He doesn't have the background right
No,
now.
he doesn't.
But sometimes people just get in. You never know,
Yeah.
you know. And in all due respect, Jimmy Carter did it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
He was sitting up there on the peanut farm for a long time.
Well, Jimmy Carter was only in there for what, 4 years?
Yeah, that's right. See,
One term president.
Yep. So, but he put his name down there,
Yeah.
see, and he got it. He beat a whole bunch of folks on it. So that's going to be a very interesting piece
Yeah.
on that line. Now, what about what I was going to ask you? And I think let's think about the border thing. I'm still interested in really getting Mexican Americans to the table. I think it's very, very important to try to
sure.
get Mexican Americans to the table.
Local,
Yeah, to basically deal with this issue.
Okay.
Because in all due respect, and if they don't get there, all of a sudden they're going to be the whipping boy.
I wonder if they're watching.
I think what we have is a unique situation because you had that caravan that was
Yes.
coming up through Mexico, and they went through Tijuana, and they were basically camping out in Tijuana, and,
Right.
and the Tijuanans down there
That's right.
didn't like them being there.
That's right.
So the Tijuanans are motivated to help us.
That's right.
Keep the caravan out of
Right.
our country.
Right,
You know?
right.
Because that way, if we had a wall, or if we had a barrier, or whatever you want to call it, down there on the southern border that stretches all the way across,
Right.
then there would be less motivation for these caravans to come
Right.
up here and break
Right.
into our country.
Right.
So-
I'm trying to visualize what it's like there at Tijuana.
Oh, this is a pretty heavy piece.
I know they're supposed to our military is supposed to be there
Yeah, they're
to
still
some
there.
extent, supporting the
Yeah,
border.
they can't actually. Yeah, they can't due to posse comitatus. We
Right.
can't have them on actually fighting.
Right.
Oh,
But I
okay.
mean, they can act in a support role basically. So.
And you can rest assured there's some actions being happened in that arena. And I really think, and a lot of folks again don't understand what the big picture is. You know, we don't sit at the table once a person is elected president of the United States. I mean, there's a whole cadre of folks that are protecting us. You know, it's just all like myself. I mean, when I volunteered to get in the Marine Corps, you know, I went to Vietnam, i.e. to protect this country. I mean, our way of life.
Yeah.
You got my point? And a lot of people don't know what it costs to maintain the way our way of life, and being able that freedom of speech and all this other stuff that we have. Got me? And you know, part of what I've done was kind of guaranteeing that. Got me? And so we need to know a little bit more about that, because when you think about that whole caravan situation and how it was stopped, you know, to respect the President of the United States was very, very much involved in that process, because he was negotiating that deal for the tariff. You got me?
Yeah.
And that was part and parcel of that deal.
The trade deal with
That's
Mexico,
right.
yeah.
Because there's a new president now for Mexico, and that new president was sitting at the table, and that was part of that deal. That, hey, look here, you're gonna have to take care of this. Got me? And so indirectly, some of the money was shifted that way. You got to help them, i.e. do that piece, and we benefited from the standpoint those folks weren't coming in, because there's still a lot of trading and tourism going back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You got me? And they
worth
don't want to
money.
lose. That's right. And they don't want to lose that economic arm, because Mexico makes all kinds of money on tourism
Yep.
aspect of it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And people need to know that just didn't happen by chance.
Yeah.
Got me? That didn't happen just by chance. That happened because this country was in a position, i.e. through that president, through President Trump, to make that happen. But a lot of times people don't give credit at that point in time. But the people who are living here, and that's Democrats and even Democrats say, oh, thank you very much, because they're out there visiting and tourism and making sure that they're safe too at the same time,
Yeah.
see? So Mexico is very important to try to get Mexican American involved in the process. And you'd
Yeah.
be surprised the number of people, Americans, that are retired in Mexico. You'd be surprised the number of people.
Expatriates, yeah.
Yes, expatriates. But they're retired. You know what I mean? And that's a fixed income kind of a deal. And then the other thing, it's kind of interesting how they are allowed, if you will, to retire there. It's just not a matter of just walking across the border. No,
Like it is in our country, yeah.
they stop you.
Yeah, how do you get permission?
No, they stop you point blank. You got to have visa. You got to have, and you have to have enough money. You have to show that, in fact, you
That's
got
right.
income coming in. And the other thing is that if you're interested in doing business in Mexico, you got to hire Mexicans from Mexico, and you have to. And part of that ownership has to be owned by Mexicans. You got me?
You wouldn't want to go there and get on welfare.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those products, you know, like TVs or whatever. I saw a TV one day the other day, a while back, that a Sony. Was it Sony? It was Sony. One of the other big ones, big name brands. They were being manufactured in Mexico. I looked at the tag.
Yeah, the tag,
in the back, and there it was in Tijuana. They got all that industrial
Yeah,
complex
right
or
over the
whatever.
border, yeah.
They've got. That means guess who owns that? They got several billionaires over there, richest persons in the world. They got 2 or 3 of those guys over there. But guess who owns that stuff? Those folks. You get my point? But now Trump is again negotiating that stuff. That's where all that money was going.
Yep.
They cut that out, and now they're trying to create more jobs here, under that Trump administration. And that's why we got so many availability of jobs. And now we need tech people to handle those jobs. That's why our education system has to be changed to make sure we educate our folks first, right? You got me? And during the interim, they're going to try to attract other folks like other countries are doing. We've been educating those folks forever. They come here, they get the free education, and then they go back, right? You got me? And they're kind of like ambassadors. So we have some acquaintance. But nowadays, they don't want to go back. They just want to stay.
Stay here, yeah.
See, so that has to be worked out to make sure we got our folks, a percentage of our folks, just like Mexico does.
Yep.
Mexico doesn't say, well, okay, fine. No, you can just come on over here and buy up all the land, and you got the money, and you can make out. No, even though there's sort of a caste system, a lot of it. But as you can see, when they started getting those comments from those folks were saying, no, this is our country. Got me?
Yep.
And you can't do this anymore. So now those folks, and so I see a good I see a solution, but we got to be part of that solution aspect of it. And that's why, to me, the wall to me talks to being more humane.
I agree. Yeah.
Being more humane.
I agree.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
able to stop those people right where they are, find out who's sick with this, that, and the other, and then, hey, if we're going to be giving any money to Honduras or this, that, and the other, then maybe some of that money needs to go to Mexico. I mean, to kind of take care of those folks while they're sitting there. You got me? And then those folks need to pay it. Besides just Mexico building this so-called wall, it has to be Honduras and these other countries that we're giving this money to. We're giving money to
Do you
them.
think they'll actually spend it on their people like that?
I
though, or-
think they're doing it because in many ways, in fact, I'm gonna give you something that you'll understand. You're familiar with Comcast, right?
Yep.
You're familiar that when you get a contract with Comcast, you got a problem technically, whatever, you call up Comcast, and all of a sudden you see somebody foreign kind of like answering the phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I called up Comcast the other day, and guess who I spoke to? And the person spoke just straight English. They're from Honduras. And so I had a conversation with her, and I said, "Well, look here, how many people are working for Comcast?" She said, "Over 2,000."
Oh wow.
Over 2,000, and then and I had somebody from Honduras, and then I talked to someone from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Got me? From the Philippines.
We went through to the Philippines.
Okay, yeah, but I got there, and I just had a conversation with her, and she said, "Oh yes, well this is what we do," and then to get the job, I had to learn English. So they got English schools over there, and like I said, the production. So that's part of that trade.
Yeah.
You get my point? So they're doing something. So I can see, well, okay, fine. Well, what about jobs over here? I mean, at one point in time, we were doing that with the penal institution. We was going to the penal institution. You pick up the phone to do something. There was someone there answering it from the penal institution. It trained those folks. Therefore, they can get out and get a job once they've done that time and whatever. You got me? The good side, not the heavy crime aspect of it. And then we also did a piece with creating manufacturing with the penal institution. But the idea was not to be too competitive with the folks that are already in business, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? The unions cut that off.
Yeah. Exactly.
They cut that off because
They couldn't utilize a
They
prisoner.
said yes,
Unionize a prisoner.
yeah, and they're competing. But then on the union side, the labor force will go on and a person who is committed or whatever, and I think it's a felon too, whatever, they can actually join the labor force of the labor trade of the union and transition that way. We were doing real good, and with the i.e. creating jobs in the institution, you know what I mean, that's non-competitive, whatever, but we cut it off. We need to put that back in the table because we talk about the over representation. That time they use the minority piece aspect of it, but the fact of the matter is we got too many people, too many Americans sitting in the institution, like child support, things of that nature. It's minor stuff. Well, hey, everybody got to eat.
Yeah.
And every family man got to feed his family. You got me? So the key is that we need to get back to the table on that piece. See, so I'm just throwing some stuff out on the table, just common sense stuff. Because when you see these people out here on the streets,
Yeah.
people just drive by them like they're nothing. People could be just laying right there in the gully part or whatever and sleeping out in the cold. People just walk by them. You can go downtown and people are having lunch and people are sleeping on the street. And so what? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they know they're there.
They know, but you understand me? But my point is that as long as it doesn't happen to me, I'm cool. And we got to get back down to the basics. You got me? And so that's kind of like where my head is, and I can't solve the problem because, like I said, but when I start talking about running for office, I'm put in a badge called too conservative. Common sense.
Me too, yeah.
At least there's a C on it, right? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Conservative C, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. CR.
And common sense C, right? You got me? But anyway.
Well, if you have an R behind your name, that's pretty much the case.
Well, hey, when I got a Lincoln Republican, I want them to remember that history.
Yeah.
Because we need to talk a little bit more about our history.
Yeah.
We've just gotten to the point we lost how we got here.
Yeah.
See, we just have to go back and remind folks that it was all poor folks that came here that put this country together. That's the way it was. It was all of us were.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. We just kind of like fell in the same trap that we were in to begin with when we got here. See, now we just have to just kind of rebuild a bit. So I'm still optimistic. I'm still thinking that it's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
And people are aware now. And again, and maybe because of Trump, and I think he's the one that's brought the issues to the table, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
Well, we got about 8 minutes
now
in this piece, and we've talked about the wall. That should have been solved. That's going to be solved, and I see that working out.
Well.
And then we're going to have other issues at the table, which is the election, right?
Yep.
If he just got, 2 or 3 million, then he can ask for more later.
Yeah.
Or billion, yeah.
Billion.
Billion was big,
right,
yeah.
right. Boy.
Yeah, I mean, as we said in the previous piece, there's this guy online. He's a triple amputee veteran, and he put out a GoFundMe request, I guess, or account, and he raised, I don't know what it's up to now, 19, 20 million or something.
Wow.
Like that. And it may be more by the time this show airs, but the point is, I think like over 200,000, 300,000 Americans actually contributed to that.
Right. They want a solution.
They want a solution.
They want a solution to the problem.
We're being told by the mainstream media, and the Chuck and Nancy show that basically that Americans don't want the wall.
Hey.
How
No.
can they say that?
They don't know what they're talking about.
Everybody wants that wall.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just a wall per se.
Yeah.
They want to solve this problem.
Exactly.
That's right.
They want to solve the problem.
Lead,
They
not
want
manage.
That's
what
right.
Trump was talking about.
Yep. But the name, by the way, has been sold in such a negative way for so long. It's just kind of a natural deal. And let's put it this way: you may be supporting, but if you're working on a job and everybody around you saying Trump, the anti-Trump, well, yeah, I get you, I agree. But the name of the game is that when that vote comes up, it's a whole different ball game.
Oh yeah.
You got me? We don't all stand up and say, well, everybody raise their hand and say, who's for Trump? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You got me? They say, well, look, you can vote by mail, right? You can vote by mail. You can vote however you want to vote. And people say, well, who'd you vote for? Oh, yeah. Well, who won? Oh, yeah, that's who I voted for.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that do the mail thing, aren't we?
I think there may be one or two other states that do it too. I think Washington does it too.
It has succeeded to a certain degree, I think.
Yeah, I'm still kind of skeptical about it myself. I mean, I think it opens up the voting system to a lot of fraud and a lot of dead people voting and stuff like that. I don't completely trust it. I'll be straight up with you honest about it.
What's the fraud that could happen because it's mail?
Well, I mean, a couple years ago we had a guy that ran for, I think, Congress against Blumenauer, Buchel, that basically sued here in Multnomah County.
Yeah, I know.
Because basically, I guess they were keeping extra ballots after the 8 o'clock deadline.
Wow.
And I guess they prevailed in terms of being able to do that. Well, I mean, that's
a quirk in the
if
law.
you have extra ballots after the deadline, if they're still counting,
right,
or that were filled out after the deadline, then that just corrupts the system. And I mean, then you have people that are dead people voting. I mean, I've seen things online. I don't know if it's actually true, but I mean, it's possible that you go out to the gravestones and you write down names, and you can look up those.
You can
names
do that,
and,
you can do that,
and put it at a certain address.
Yeah.
And dead people can vote.
Yeah.
So,
And not everybody has a gravestone or
exactly.
a stone.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, now as you register vehicles now, for all the illegals or whatever,
Oh yeah.
They just basically say you're automatically registered. You can vote.
Yep.
So what that means,
voter,
somebody said, well, gee, no, wait a minute. Well, the illegals don't. Well, on one side it says, well, these are saying, well, the illegals don't vote. You got to be you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
I don't think people that don't want to vote should vote, especially if they're not even going to be interested in who's running for anything.
But people control that. That medium controls that piece. They say, well, okay, we're gonna at least put it in your face, but we got your name that you've got a ballot. And then you can easily say, okay, fine, it goes to the here, this, that, and the other. And,
I had a friend of mine lived out in the gorge, and she said that her cat got a ballot. Her cat got a ballot because apparently her cat's on some sort of pet mailing
Yeah,
list, and
yeah.
the mailing list was
Oh.
somehow integrated or sold or bought by someone
Wow.
that was producing the ballots.
Wow.
Cats and dogs
So,
have
yeah,
names.
Her cat got a ballot, and
Wow.
it was just amazing. Because,
Wow.
and she
Wow.
obviously didn't vote for her cat, but I mean,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, if a cat can get a ballot, then I mean, that's where the fraud opens
knows
up. That's
what
what I was
else?
talking about. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we only have about 3 minutes or so. And why don't you make mention about the fact that we're going to be meeting with the American Koreans,
Okay.
Korean
Okay.
vets.
We're going down
American.
to meet.
Right.
There's still an active Korean veterans. Let's see, Oregon Trail chapter,
These are American Koreans, right?
Korean War Veterans
Yeah,
Association.
right. From American veterans, right?
Well, no, it's KW, Korean
KW,
War
Korean
Veterans.
War
And
Veterans.
it would be Americans.
Right.
That's who's down there.
Right.
Originated chapters to remain in Oregon at this time. We got about 45 to 60 members
Cool.
down there. So
Okay, I'm sure they've got some veterans that need to know how to get that benefit. So we're going to be there.
we're going
We're going to be
to
there.
meet with them. And
Yes.
they
sounds
may,
great.
I think they're going to provide someone to come up and talk to us here.
Good.
So that's,
Good. Yeah, we can do an IPO or
you know, they're still part of the whole deal. They're,
Right,
they're
right.
part of
right.
everything to do
Right.
with,
That was part of the culture.
Yeah. Well,
that's right.
Yeah, they're part of the culture like everybody else. It's just that, which is good, and that's some of the things we do, right? That's some
Yeah.
things I do. And so
Right,
that's going
right.
to be. I'm really looking forward to getting together with that group.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to getting together with
Okay,
that group.
22nd,
Of February.
Denny's Restaurant, 22nd of this month,
Oh, January.
Wilsonville.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get together with
Who
those
knows?
guys.
Might
Oh
even
no, we'll have
someone else.
we'll have them on the show.
yeah.
Because they need to know what's going. We need to know what's going on. Well, we got about that 2-minute piece. Any
Yeah.
lasting comments, Rich?
Oh no, I want to thank Mark for coming all the way in here. That's
All the way from Oregon City. Yeah.
well, that's a way. That's a way. And then I assume you come down McLaughlin.
I go, McLaughlin, I think
Okay.
Brand, and then I get on the freeway and then come up MLK there.
Right.
Well, let's make sure we recognize the staff, the guy that
Oh,
runs
yeah.
this deal. Tim's been doing an excellent job. I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
without
right.
him-
It's a great job.
Yeah, without him, boy, I tell you. I mean, he's learned well. We had him in boot camp. He really didn't know it. He didn't know the technical aspect of the deal. I spent many hours with him, but he learned fast. He really learned fast.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. That's our crew, and we're in bad
No.
shape without him.
Oh, hey, for sure. He's really done an excellent job, and Tim, I really appreciate it, man. We really do appreciate you along that particular line. Looking forward to us having continued shows. We want to keep doing this piece, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll be doing some irregular times and dates
Right.
because of complications
Right,
here
right.
at Portland Community Media,
Right.
which people just can't alter too much.
Right. Well, that's part of the deal.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
we're-
community television.
Right, we'll
That's
go along
community
with it.
television. You know, we got a small staff, but at least we up here.
Yep.
That's
We're
right.
not- We recognize and we respond to the majority of the community, the majority of the voters. That's why we're saying this is just common sense stuff here. We don't have a staff. We don't have a major staff. We got one guy right now running the studio. You got me?
Okay.
I mean, and he does an excellent job. You got me? And
Okay.
here we are. We get involved. We got jobs. We got this, that, and the other. that
Thank
we're
you for
doing.
watching.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you
watching.
for watching.
All right.